All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're diving deep inside the human brain to look at one single system, a network that, it turns out, runs so much of who we are, from how we think about ourselves to what drives us to succeed.
So here's a question for you, and it sounds a bit like a riddle, right? What in the world could possibly connect the way a kid looks at a math problem, the way an adult chases after their career goals, and the really intense internal struggle that happens in disorders like OCD or Tourette's? Believe it or not, the answer is the exact same critical piece of wiring in our brains.
And here it is, the frontostriatal circuits. Now, this isn't just one little spot in the brain. Think of it more like a massive superhighway connecting the part that does all the planning and decision-making, that's your frontal cortex, with the part that handles motivation and actually getting things done, the striatum. For today, we're just going to call it what it is, your brain's control center.
So how does this control center actually work in the real world? Well, first up, let's look at how it shapes something really fundamental, our beliefs about our own intelligence.
You've probably heard these terms before. A fixed mindset is that feeling of, I'm just not a math person. But a growth mindset is the total opposite. It's the belief that, hey, with enough work, I can become a math person. Now, for a long time, we just thought of this as, a personality thing. But what if you could literally rewire someone's brain to have a growth mindset?
Well, that is exactly what a fascinating study in 2022 decided to test. Researchers took a group of young kids and put them through 4 weeks of intense one-on-one math tutoring. But here's the kicker. The real secret sauce was the feedback. It was never about just getting the right answer. It was all about praising the effort, the struggle, the process of learning itself. And of course, they scanned the kids' brains before and after to see if anything actually changed up there.
And the results were, well, they were just incredible. It wasn't just that the kids' attitude shifted toward a growth mindset. The brain scans showed that the tutoring had physically changed the connections inside their control center. And this is so important because it tells us that a mindset isn't just some vague, fuzzy idea. It's a reflection of our brain's actual wiring, and that wiring can be changed.
Okay, so we know the control center can be rewired to help us learn, but what about its existing structure? How does the way it's already built influence our drive, our ambition as we get older? Let's take a look.
So, it turns out there are kind of two different flavors of motivation. First, you've got self-fulfillment motivation. This is that quiet internal fire to just be a little bit better than you were yesterday. It's about personal mastery. Then you have competitive motivation. This is the drive to be number one, to crush the competition, to get that public recognition. Both are powerful, for sure, but do they actually look different inside the brain? And the answer is a huge, fascinating yes. A study found that the very physical structure of our control center is linked to which type of motivation tends to drive us. People who are really driven by self-fulfillment often have less gray matter density in one part of the circuit. Now, that might sound bad, but it could actually point to a more efficient, more practiced, streamlined circuit. Kind of like a well-worn path in a forest. It's clear and fast. On the flip side, people with high competitive motivation showed more gray matter density in a different part, the striatum. The takeaway here is wild. It's not just if you're motivated, but how you're motivated that's reflected in the literal anatomy of your brain.
So, we've seen how this system helps us learn and strive when it's working well. But what happens when the development of this supercritical control center goes wrong? This is where the research reveals a really startling connection. A whole bunch of disorders that seem completely unrelated on the surface, Tourette's, OCD, even eating disorders like anorexia, they all share a common neural signature. The problem for all of them lies in the abnormal development of this exact same system, the brain's control center. I mean, this quote from the research paper just lays it out perfectly. When you boil it all down, these conditions are fundamentally disorders of self-regulation. It's like the control center can't hit the brakes on unwanted urges. And whether that urge shows up as a physical tic, an obsessive thought, or a compulsion related to food, the root issue can be traced back to a breakdown in this one critical system. Okay, so let's pull all these threads together. We've seen how this one single brain system, our control center, shapes our mindset, fuels our ambition, and, when it struggles, can really undermine our self-control.
But here it is. This is the single most powerful takeaway from all of this. This entire system, it is not set in stone. That growth mindset study proved it. Our brain's control center is plastic. It's malleable. It literally responds to training, to feedback, to our experiences. This isn't just something that happens to us. It's a dynamic system that we can actively influence.
And that leaves us with a pretty profound final thought. Knowing that this central hub for mindset, motivation, and control is trainable, well, that opens up a whole new world for education, for therapy, for self-improvement. But it also raises some really important questions, doesn't it? About how far we should go in trying to sculpt the very circuits that make us who we are. It's a powerful idea to end on.